This is an introduction on how to reconcile a bank statement. So what we're doing is taking the information that the bank would send us at the end of a month and comparing it to our checkbook, and then making what the bank says we have agree with our checkbook balance and our cash account. And then anything that we would have to do to our cash account to make it up to date would have to be done through journal entries. And so the most of the things that affect the bank statement, or when the bank tells us we have so much money, would be if you have written checks that the bank doesn't know about yet because they haven't cleared the bank, or maybe a deposit that's in the mail that you have recorded as a deposit but they don't know yet. Things that would affect our checking account could be if we've written a check in incorrectly, it's gone through the bank okay, but we've written it in our journal and account incorrectly. Or maybe we've just forgot, like an ATM withdrawal, the bank knows about it but we didn't record it. Or a bank service charge, or perhaps the owner's taken money out with an ATM and not told us about it. So or the bank has maybe collected a note for us. So I'm fighting a cough, so please excuse me. So looking on page 247, problem 61A, talks about the men's shop, deposits receipts in the bank every evening and makes all payments by check. On November 30th, the ledger balance of cash, so that's the cash in your general ledger, is $2,375.05. So this up here is the bank. This is dealing with the bank statement. So I'm just going to color that like that. This is representing what the bank says we have. Down here, this is us and our checking account and what our cash account says in our general ledger. So at this particular point in our general ledger, we have this much as our account balance, and this is also what we're showing in our checkbook as our current balance. When the bank statement arrives, they say that we have $2,784.77. So as we look right now, these two numbers are different, and that's commonly the case. It doesn't mean that the bank was wrong or we were wrong. It's just that we have to reconcile the differences. So as we look in transaction A on 248, when we did the bank reconciliation for October, the previous month, we showed 3 outstanding checks. One for $95, one for $125.87, and one for $136. 2 checks have come back, but check 1420 was not yet returned. That's called an outstanding check. And since the bank doesn't know about it, we need to deduct it from what they say we have. So we're going to show outstanding checks. We're going to write the account or the check number, which was 1420. And the amount of that check that we wrote that hasn't cleared the bank yet is $125.87. So it was outstanding last month and it's still outstanding. So someone's forgotten about it or lost it. Looking at letter B, checks number 1500 for $155, one for $132, one for $218, and one for $128.85. Are checks that we've written during the month of November, but they haven't been cleared through our account yet, so the people that we gave the checks to have not cashed them yet, or they're in the mail and our bank hasn't seen them. So these checks are called outstanding checks, and we're going to list them under deduct, because remember, outstanding checks would decrease our bank account balance. And I'll write the amounts over here. And then we're going to take all of these outstanding checks and add them together, and we would put our total over here. So these $759.72 represents checks that we've written but that have not cleared out through our account yet. In Part C, a deposit we made for $945 was put in so late in the day that it's not going to show up until December 1st. We've already added it to our checkbook and our cash account, so we need to show it as an increase to this bank statement. So we're going to say deposit in transit and the amount of it, which is $945. In letter D, a canceled check now is one that has come back to us. Very few of us probably at this point get a canceled check back in the mail, but for the most part it just tells us on our bank statement a certain check cash went through the bank. Now they do microfiche these checks, so if you ever need to get a copy again, you can do that, or you can pay extra and actually get your used checks back in your possession. Okay, so when we looked at the checks, we wrote a check for $14.87 for $89. The check was written correctly, payable to the owner for personal use. So our owner took $89 for personal use. But when we put it in the checkbook, instead of subtracting out $89, we subtracted out $98. So we took too much out of our checkbook and too much out of our cash account. So we need to go to our ledger balance of cash, and we need to add back that money, that and the difference would be $9. So we have to add $9 back. Okay, because there's a difference between 89 and 98, which is a transposition error, and we've turned the number around. In letter E, included in the bank statement was a bank memo for service charges. So when it has debit and credit memo, I would just not worry about debit or credit, but just look at the bank sent us a memo, and they said they charged us $29 for having our checking account with them. They've already deducted the $29 up here, but we don't know about the $29 till right now. So we need to deduct the bank service charge of $29. And last, letter F, a bank credit memo was enclosed for the collection of a note signed by C.G. Tolson, $615. $600 for the principal of the note, and we earned $15 in interest. Well, the bank collected for us a total of $615. So we're going to add, here's the rest of this, we're going to add that money to here. So we're going to add the notes, the note collected, and it's going to be principal, $600, interest is going to be $15, and it's from C.G. Tolson. Okay, and so we're going to put $615 over here. And at this point, we think we have everything entered. Now we just need to do some math and see if we can get those two balances to equal. So if the bank says we have this, we know we made a deposit of $945, we can do a subtotal there, and that subtotal would be 3729.77. Okay? Because the deposit increases what the bank says we have. The checks that we've written will decrease what the bank says that we have. So we're going to subtract $759.72 from $3729.77. When we do that, we're going to get $2,970.05. Okay? So we're hoping that when we do our cash balance here, what we get down here will equal what we have here. Okay? So if we take this addition of $9 and $615, if we add those two together, we're going to be adding $624. We're going to be adding that to this number up here. And if you were to do that, that would come out to $2,999.05. If we deduct or subtract the $29 service charge, that will leave us with this amount, $2,970.05. Now this is good because when we corrected our cash balance, it is the same number that we got with when we corrected what the bank said we had. Normally what I do when I reconcile my bank statement and my checkbook is I draw a little circle around it or date it, so I know on this date I know that my checkbook has the perfect right information on it and there's no error. I want you to notice that our cash account in our general ledger is showing a balance of $2,375.05. So we're going to have to do something with this $9 and this $615 and this $29. And so in order to do that, you can't just go to an account and start writing in numbers. You first have to make a journal entry in the general journal. So let's talk about this $9 down here first. Okay, so we're going to do a journal. Now normally, a journal is never going to be on a bank statement, but they just put it this way for make it easy on us. So here's the year and the month and the day. When you're looking at the cash account, if you add something to cash, these numbers will always be debits to cash because cash is increasing. So we're going to debit cash for $9. And where the error was before was in the drawing account, so we have to credit it to make it get up to date. And the amount is a $9 debit to cash, a $9 credit to drawing to make it be up to date. And then we have to write an explanation in our journal. We had an error on check 1487. Okay? Then we have to talk about that $615 up here because that's making our cash account get bigger by $615. So we're going to skip a line, put in the 30th. We're going to debit cash for $615 because that's the amount of cash that came to us. Now what happened was somebody was paying on a notes receivable, and when you pay on a notes receivable excuse me, your notes receivable decreases. So we're going to credit notes receivable to make it decrease. And we also made some interest here. So we made some interest income. And when we make interest income, the income is getting bigger, which is a credit. So notice here, we have a debit and two credits that are equal to each other. Over here, we'd have to go ahead and write down what we were doing. It was a bank collected the note signed by T.J. Tolson, and we earned $50 in interest. Last, we have to deal with that $9 or $29. The bank charges $29 for our bank service charge and for collecting that note. So we want to record our bank expenses in miscellaneous expense. So there's no use having a bank service charge account, which you would only use once a month for a small amount. So we're going to put it in miscellaneous expense. That's our debit because it's getting bigger by $29. Now we're having to reduce our cash account by that amount. Put credit cash for $29. And then we're going to identify what it was. Okay. So that concludes this video.